Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
Here we go again, Vince. It's horror month, and we got creepy talking dolls, and we got Chucky.
Did you miss me, Andy? I sure missed you.
Child's Play 2. Keep an eye out for it.
From the Blu-Ray box set of Chucky the Complete... I had to read it. Chucky the Complete Collection.
This is it, world. From now on, no more Mr. Good Guy.
Because there's a brand new one of these coming out that includes Cult of Chucky. And we couldn't wait to get it because we have to get these... It takes so long to do these reviews. And I think it's coming out in later October or middle October or something like that.
I think so. It might be the beginning of October, but by the time we get to watch it and and review it, it'll be the middle of October.
And I actually like the box for it quite a lot. This I'm not really crazy about. I showed you the unboxing for this thing, and it's kind of cheaply made. I don't know what the new one looks like, but I do like the cover of the new one much better than this one.
I think it's got a good, better marketing idea, better packaging, because they actually have Chucky. You know, it looks like a good guy doll package.
So, Child's Play 2, Vince. Now, obviously the first one established Chucky as a iconic character now. I mean, he basically became the Freddy Krueger, the new Freddy Krueger, when it was made.
Yeah, and that carried on through this one.
It did. And this one kind of actually reminds me a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Like, they had a character they didn't really know what to do with, so they decided to kind of do the same thing with him they did sort of in the first one.
Exactly. It was kind of... The basic premise is just kind of repeating what happened in the first film, just without the cop and without the mom available.
And the one thing I got to ask you, and they might have said this in the movie, and I've been watching all these movies now, and I just got done with the third one here, and I was like, maybe they said it at some point in the film, but maybe I missed it. But why does he have to have Andy? What is special about Andy that he has to have him to put his soul into? I don't understand that.
They said it in the first film because Andy was the first one that he told his secret to, that he was Charles Lee Ray.
You have to transfer your soul out of the doll into that of the first human being you revealed your true self to.
You mean the first person I let in on the fact that I was really alive?
So that means he has to put his soul in his body then?
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
I mean, that don't make much sense, Vince.
Well, okay, I didn't write it, Dave, but...
No fucking way! You got me into this, you get me out.
This is where the writing on the first one kind of went wacky, too, because... And they talked about that on the first one, was... Charles Lee Ray was supposed to... He found out about Andy's dad had died or something like that, and he was saying, I'm a friend of your dad's, you know, that kind of thing, and they cut that out.
None of that was in the movie.
Telling Andy to do all this stuff, but he's telling him that I'm a friend of your father's, you know, but you don't know that. So now he's after Andy all the time because that's the first person he told it to.
Now, speaking of that one, this right here. This is the Scream Factory's Collector's Edition of Child's Play. Now, the whole time watching this movie, I kept thinking about some of the extras that were on this, about the guy who actually played Chucky, and he would run around, you know, and do things, obviously, the mechanical puppet couldn't do. So when they made the second film, they put him back in the movie, and he was talking in the Scream Factory edition here about how he hated the second movie, how he hated being in it because they wanted to use the puppet throughout the entire film, and he sat there and hardly did anything. I think really there's like 1 or 2 shots in this movie that's him, and that's it. And I kept thinking about that the whole time watching this.
You're talking about Ed Gale.
I respect them for using the puppet in this film. I think it's really cool that they wanted to use, the mechanics and the animated doll they made, because that's sort of what he is. But when you turn him into a little person running around, you can tell it's a little person running around. There's things that he can do that the puppet obviously can't do. For me, I thought it was kind of better to try to use the puppet rather than the guy in the outfit.
Well, I can see his point, though, because with the first film, that's what kind of made Chucky a little more... They gave him a little more personality. It made him a little more human, and that's what was happening to the doll, is he's turning human.
This isn't over, you little shit. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life as a plastic freak. Next time you're alone, you're mine.
And all they ever used it for was like the shots where he's, where they had somebody run behind somebody or like he's crawling upstairs or something.
So this story is basically Andy, and for whatever reason they didn't show the mom in here or the cop, like you said. They focused on Andy, and I think that was kind of a mistake, really, because the whole first movie was about his mother, and she carried the film, basically, her and the cop, and Andy was sort of in it, but he was sort of the side story. He wasn't really the main story. And I really do think they should have brought her back for this film. I don't know why they didn't, rather than trying to focus on him. But he ends up getting, adopted by these weird people, this weird couple.
Yeah, by the people under the stairs couple.
Yeah, they're just kind of weird. I don't know. They're not like normal people. I don't know how to explain it. They have all this breakable stuff around the house. And they bring this little kid in. Don't touch this breakable thing. It's like, what do you leave something breakable out? A kid's going to try to break it. I mean, they're idiots. And then when it happens, they're like, I can't believe it happened. It's just like, what?
I'm going to say this right now, Dave. You're probably going to be shocked by this. Or maybe not. But the Saw films and the Child's Play films, I've never seen not one of these movies in the theater.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I've seen every one of them. I even seen the first one. So I've seen every one of these in the theater.
So I never saw this in the movie theater, so I didn't get to see it until it actually came out on VHS. So I watched it then. And I remember watching this movie and going and thinking to myself, well, it was all right. I didn't think it was okay, but I liked the first one better. And a lot of that had to do because of the silly things like that, this family in here. And they didn't have the mom, and they didn't have Chris Sarandon back or anything. And they just kind of fluffed them off in the writing right at the beginning of the film. Well, she went to some psychiatric clinic, and I forget what happened to the cop because they don't really even mention him. They just kind of, he's, whatever.
So let me talk about the beginning of it here for a couple seconds. They used to do this in horror films all the time, and I loved it. And they did it just about through all these, is he gets destroyed at the end of every movie. He gets plummeted. He gets just torn up, and then somehow he comes back in the next film. And that's what they did in the beginning of this. It's like, they're going to take this doll that the head got blown off and is burnt and it's all crispy, and then take all the crispy burnt stuff off the skull, and he has like a metal skull under. I was like, why does this doll have a metal head anyway?
But his teeth look real.
Yeah, he had real teeth, but he had a metal head. And it's like, that's kind of dangerous, to have. It's not plastic. It's like metal, and they got rubber over that. It's just really weird. But anyway, I love that. I love stuff like that. I love them remaking the doll in the beginning of it. I absolutely think that's fantastic. I love when they do that.
And just think about it. This doll has a metal head, and you're going to give it to your 4 or 5 year old.
And you take that and you swing it, bam, knock that kid right out.
I hate you.
The kid would fall over and won't wake up for a week.
But it also doesn't make sense because here's Chucky's head is metal, and then later on they show Tommy.
Hi, I'm Tommy.
Shut up, you idiot.
the Tommy good guy doll, and he crushes the other good guy doll head, Tommy. He crushes his head with that priceless heirloom.
I'd like to be hugged. I'd like to be hugged.
Hug this.
I thought about that too. I was like, man, that's pretty strong. He hit him like 7 times, and it didn't break until like the 7th or 8th time he hit him with it. And his whole head caves in. I was like, oh, okay.
The metal must have caved in because of the ceramic.
But I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I don't think it was anywhere around... Like, the first one's a classic. The first one was really scary. And then, like I said, they sort of turned the Chucky character into a Freddy character. Even though he was kind of like that in the first one, he was really like that in the second one. You know, like when he trips the guy down the stairs, he's like...
How's it hanging, Phil?
I mean, it's like,
They were competing with Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Halloween and all those horror movie titans at that point, and especially with Freddy Krueger, because Freddy at that point I think was in Nightmare 3 by the time this one came out. And by that point, Freddy was doing all the one-liners and all the puns. So here you got Chucky, and yeah, he's able to have a voice and be able to have a personality. So they stuck him with a bunch of one-liners to say.
I did like how the movie ended up. I liked the fact that it was in the toy factory in the second one, and if you've watched the Scream Factory version and seen the extras on here, the writer himself talked about how the movie was supposed to start in a toy factory, and how the doll was going to come alive and all this other stuff. It wasn't all about voodoo. It was something totally different. So I guess he had that idea of it being in the toy factory and took that and stuck it in the second film, because it's the same writer in every movie. And I just like that idea. I really like the ending of the whole... There's thousands of Chucky's dolls going everywhere, and I loved it. I thought the ending was great.
Exactly. So, but I mean, I enjoyed it because of Chucky. I enjoyed it because of that. It was, and seeing all the special effects and everything. I did enjoy the film. It just I didn't like it as much as the first one.
Yeah, I didn't. It was fun, though. I mean, there was nothing really wrong with the film. It was just sort of I wish they kind of went in another direction. I don't know. Like I said, the whole last half of it I really enjoyed. I liked the whole factory and then again, it's sort of like Jason. It's like, how are we going to kill him in this movie? Let's make the worst possible way of killing this guy, and he's never going to come back for the third film. I mean, they just annihilated him in this film.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of these movies. I haven't seen these in who knows how long. So I don't remember how he comes back in every film. And they literally annihilated him, and my wife was like, well, how are they going to bring him back? I was like, I have no clue. They blew his head off, they melted him. It was just terrible.
He's the original. He'll take your breath away. This fall, Chucky rules.
So, what are you going to give Child's Play 2, Vince?
Well, actually, like I said, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was a decent sequel to Child's Play, and I had fun with it. It's a fun film, but was it a great sequel? No, not really. But I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed this film quite a lot. It's goofy, but Chucky's great in the movie, and you kind of watch the movie for Chucky anyway. I mean, come on. You really want to see a movie? I want to go see that movie because Andy's in that movie. No, you go see the movie for Chucky. just like the Nightmare movies or the Friday the 13th films or whatever, you go see them for the killer. You don't really go see them for... Man, that acting from Andy, woo! Gotta go see it because of Andy.
Well, I don't know. With Nightmare on Elm Street, I always enjoyed seeing Heather Langenkamp.
I would also give this movie a 4 out of 5. Yeah, I also really enjoyed this film quite a lot. It's goofy, but Chucky's great in the movie. And you kind of watch the movie for Chucky anyway. I mean, come on. You really want to see a movie? I want to go see that movie because Andy's in that movie. No, you go see the movie for Chucky.
Well, I don't know. With Nightmare on Elm Street, I always enjoyed seeing Heather Langenkamp.
it's enjoyable. I enjoyed it. It's a fun sequel, and Chucky's great in the movie. And like you said, the way they made him in the film is so much better than the first one. He moves around. He's much more realistic, and it's just really cool to watch him, how they did him in this film.
So there you have it, Child's Play 2. So now what you got to do is subscribe and do all the stuff that we tell you to do each and every video, and that is to subscribe and to like us and to hit that little bell up there, the little horror bell. and you'll know every time we put up a new horror film for Horror Month 2017.
And there's actually 7 of these movies now, and we're going to bring all 7 of them to you this month. So we're going to review all of them for you this month, every one of them, because that's what we do here for Horror Month.
Yeah, crush ourselves with Child's Play and Chucky.